host, and welcome to another episode of the Pro Hockey Pod. For the listeners, it's been a while. I mean, I know I took a break there. We kind of got busy with playoffs last year, and then in the summer, I don't want to bug guys, like they're obviously enjoying their time, their off time there in the summer, whether it's back in North America with their families, etc. But we are back. I'm happy to be doing this, and let's get right into this. So we are on episode 92. Who's better to have on than Mr. Hayden Shaw right now? So, for those of you who don't know, Hayden Shaw is a defenseman, plays for our team, German passport guy. He's been around for a while now. He's been in his, what are you, in your fourth year now in
This is
Germany?
my fifth year in Germany.
Fifth year in Germany. And how many guys have I had on that have also won national championships? I mean, we're going to get into all this stuff. His dad also was a very prolific hockey player and hockey coach as well. So, happy to get this, we'll say, new season of the Pro Hockey Pod undergoing right now. We're currently in Kitzbühel now, just got here today, but welcome to the Pro Hockey Pod, Hayden Shaw.
Thanks for having me. I'm pumped. I was concerned though that someone canceled last minute and I was just the quickest grab, but very happy to be here. I'm excited for this.
I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but anyway, so we always start off, we always take it back to the beginning, Hayden. So, doing some research there, your elite prospects. I don't know if it's true or false, but I believe you were born in the Woodbury area there in Minnesota. Like, what's kind of your earliest memory of growing up in the Minnesota area there?
That one's actually wrong. So there's a lot. I'm
We're
born
off
in
we're off to a good start.
I'm born in Hamilton, Montana,
Okay.
which is also kind of a fun thing because I met one other person in my hockey career that's from Montana. So it's kind of a rare place to be from. We moved around for my dad's job. But I went to Minnesota in fifth grade. So that from fifth grade through what after I left my sophomore year of high school, we kind of called Minnesota home. But yeah, they picked up Minnesota and put it on my pro. I've emailed them too because I want to represent Montana and say I'm from Montana. But being from Minnesota, I we lived 7 years in Texas before Minnesota. My dad was coaching for the Houston Aeros. But when we made the move to Minnesota, the hockey culture was insane from what I've seen before, like the outdoor rinks in the winter. Everyone played hockey. There's a rink every couple miles. It was just such a change. And obviously, I wanted to play hockey, and I played hockey growing up until that fifth grade. But it was almost like a culture shock to see how much people loved it in Minnesota.
Would you say, like, obviously, as I said, mentioned at the start, your dad obviously went to NCAA. I believe he played at US International back in the day, and then like he obviously has coached at various levels throughout his career, whether it was NCAA pro. Like, was he a big influence on you, like first getting into hockey there?
For sure. And it's kind of what I'm doing with my son right now. I was on skates, when I was like 2 years old. And just having the access to the rinks that he did, like I'd go hang out at the rinks when guys were practicing and stuff. But he never like pushed me into it. I
Hmm.
played, baseball and hockey growing up, and then it was kind of my decision. But it was a no-brainer for me. I was so bored of like baseball practices, so hockey was the easy choice. But it definitely, obviously, having that guidance was an easy call for me.
And I always like talking to like the Americans here. Like, obviously in Canada, we have a certain structure when it comes to the minor hockey and like how you kind of learn to play and all that. Like, what was kind of your upbringing with that? Like in Canada, I would say like we have basically growing up, you have different levels of like triple A, single A, double A, and your those are kind of your rep teams. Like, how was it for you growing up?
In Texas, it was kind of crazy. It'd be all like you'd go to Dallas every weekend. It'd be a 2 hour drive for like AAA tournaments. And then going to Minnesota was the high school hockey tournament. And that is the biggest thing ever. If you ask any Minnesotan about it, it's like a national holiday. But I think the level, like guys who put up like 80 points in a 30 game season have to go to juniors, but they don't. And they still play high school hockey because the Minnesota State tournament's so big.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to ask you about. Like you obviously played for Woodbury High there, like in the Minnesota University Hockey League. Again, like when I'm growing up, like high school hockey to us is very, you know, you either play rep or you play high school for us. And it's like when you're playing high school, it's kind of like, hey, I just want to represent my team, and then I'm done. Whereas in Minnesota, it's like this is the league you want to play in. These are the teams you want to play against that will help you either get to the junior level, NCAA, what might have you. Like, let's just talk about kind of. You already touched on it briefly, but talk about just like, your experience there playing in the Minnesota High School Hockey League.
It is, it's honestly like a different world for that kind of. You talk to anyone else, like no one has high school hockey really. It's everyone's AAA and minor, major, midget, that kind of stuff. But for guys that there's like powerhouses in Minnesota that are the team to knock off. They get all, you're not supposed to like recruit
Hmm.
in high school hockey, but there is some like tampering that goes unseen. But it's just such a big deal. Like we'd have school canceled to be able to go to the state tournament and watch. There's the hockey expo going on. Like the whole city is just full, like locked off for high school hockey all day.
And I always like to ask too, like, obviously you growing up, first in Montana, then, Texas a little bit, then Minnesota, like, was there any thought in your mind back, like, obviously when we were growing up, there was a different rule when it came to major junior versus NCAA. Was there any thought for you of the other side? You end up going NCAA down the road, which we'll get to eventually, but was there any thought of the major junior, or were you just kind of focused on like playing, high school hockey and then hoping to get to the USHL after?
Well, back when it was the you lose your college eligibility if you go to major junior, this is where my dad's experience came in. Because it came, I don't know, how old are kids getting drafted? Like 13, 14 now to the dub.
Yeah, to
Or
the W.
back
Yeah,
then.
they're really, really like 15.
So back then I was like, I was filling out a form for the Portland Winterhawks. Like I want to go to the Dub so bad. But that was my dad's hockey experience where he's like, you're not going to the Dub. You're undersized as is. You need some years to develop. Like just, I'm not putting you in that.
Hmm.
And that was like a firm no. And looking back, obviously, very thankful that he kind of had that expertise and knew about that.
And with that expertise, you also got drafted to the USHL there to the Waterloo Blackhawks. Um, Maybe talk about like your experience in that league. I believe you played 2 seasons in the USHL, and I remember growing up for me, like there was a time where I played tier two junior in Canada, and I had an option the next year after I'd committed to a school that said, "Hey, we have a coach in the USHL. Would you like to go?" And at the time, I was comfortable staying at home, and it led me on my path. But how was that adjustment for you and playing in that league?
It honestly, I didn't know a ton about the USHL. I didn't know much about juniors in general. Like it was all Minnesota high school hockey. I was kind of looking at Shattuck St. Mary's and I was like, God, this is so cool. Like being able to live away from home. I really wanted to do that. So I didn't know a whole lot about the USHL. And then I went down there for like a camp. I don't know, I must have been a freshman in high school. Had a good camp. And then PK O'Hanley, the way the Waterloo Blackhawks, their organization's always been top notch. Got hooked up with them, got drafted the next year, and then made the team after my sophomore year of high school. So yeah, I kind of just learned as I went for the junior route.
And not to be, we don't want to undervalue Hayden here, but just to let the listeners know, his first year in the USHL, he was selected to the all rookie team, which is obviously a tremendous feat. And then also his second year, he was a first team all star. So the adjustment, I mean, as you said, it's always an adjustment, but to you, it seems like you were able to kind of go with the flow and not have that waiting period where some players, it takes them a year to really adjust. Like, those two awards that I just mentioned, obviously at that age are tremendous feats to be proud of.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was back when I put up points. I had some really. My first year, my D partner is Brandon Montour. So honestly, it was really easy playing with him. Give him the puck and you get points. Our team was unbelievable too. We lost in the finals that year, but it was definitely like that first year. We had such a good team. It was really kind of easy to kind of integrate. But I had a pretty hot start there and just kind of carried on.
How was it playing for your dad there the second year there? I believe you played in Dubuque with your dad there as a coach.
Yeah, so that was we lost in the finals my first year, and then my second year, We Waterloo was out of playoffs. Dubuque was gearing up to be in the playoffs. Um, and my dad, that was his first year in the league, I think. Um, we I was like texting back and forth, like joking, like you should trade for me. And I had good stats at the time. Um, so that kind of helped it out, but it ended up coming down. PK was pretty hard on him for negotiation. It came down to like 11:58 of the trade deadline day. That I finally got traded that night, and then I went and got to live with my family for that year, and it was pretty cool. Um, Not knowing that I'd for him in college too. But I thought that would be kind of the last time, but it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, you two seem to kind of follow each other wherever you went,
I
but
like to say that I got him that North Dakota job.
yeah, like we'll say that on record. The listeners know now that you're the reason he got that job. So
Yeah.
that's noted. But how is it like? I'm always curious of that. Like, obviously, you guys have a family relationship, like him being your dad, and then also like there's the hockey relationship, I would say, where you're both competitive people. You want to do well, and obviously sometimes you're gonna maybe have some disagreement on things. But like, how was that for you, like playing for your dad and having to balance that relationship of like father son, but also like hockey player, hockey coach?
It was really good. He's just like he's coached for 30 some years. Very professional. So it was kind of, we'd be at the rink sometimes. We'd be like, Dad, I'm your son. Like I'd want to give him that, but he's just so professional and so to the point. I remember my first week when I got to Dubuque too. We were on a bit of a skid and he was just bagging the boys. We were like on ice, then we had to do off ice. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, is he always like this? Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing from him. But he kind of set the tone on how to balance it. And from there is he is always kind of with the forwards too, and me being a defenseman was easy. But kind of just let your play speak for itself. And it's not like we had any tangled lines. He was playing
Hmm.
me as the D coach. It was nice that he was further down the bench.
No, for sure. And I'm just always curious how those dynamics work. But in the end, you end up attaining a D1 scholarship, which so many players strive to do when playing the junior level, whether it's USHL, OJHL, BCHL, the list goes on. But you end up going to North Dakota, which I mean is just a pristine program. But before we get to your years there, like how did you end up picking North Dakota? Like were there other schools you were visiting? And yeah, eventually, like how did you end up making that decision to attend North Dakota?
It comes down to the hot start that I had my first year of juniors. I kind of had as calls started coming in, and that's when it kind of got real. I was like, oh, I guess I go to college next. Like, not really knowing the junior route, but didn't really know where I want to go. Obviously, being a Minnesota guy, like, yeah, I'll probably go to Minnesota, if I have the opportunity. Went visited a couple places, narrowed it down to Ohio State, Denver, Minnesota, and North Dakota.
Mhm.
Then I went to my visit in North Dakota and it was just a no-brainer. Like it's tough to go to that campus and not say yes. It's just such a palace and just like the development there is crazy. So I'd committed verbally to them right after my visit, and then I had gotten an offer from Minnesota and I had to tell them like I was saying like no, I've kind of already made my decision. I don't want to take my visit. But thank you, and just got hung up on.
Mhm.
But it was very going to North Dakota for that visit just sealed the deal.
And how was the transition for you? I'm always curious, obviously at the end of the day, whenever we play junior, it's you basically become, I would say, an expert or very confident at one level, and then the NCAA is just it's the next league. It's another set of, things that you have to adjust to. Like, how was that kind of adjustment for you?
That was definitely different because that was like the team was so different. I used to be like the point power play guy in juniors, and then having to switch my role to be more defensive and stable. Me and Christian Wolanin switched off every weekend, game for game, my freshman year. But we were really good at supporting each other. But just kind of switching your role up completely from offensive minded to kind of PK defense because we had so many other guys that were
Mm.
high octane offensive guys. But yeah, that definitely was a big jump with like the stronger guys, bigger guys. It's just such a different league.
And obviously, for anyone who's done research, like myself, the first year there, you end up winning the national championship. And for those listening who haven't been to the college route, to say how difficult that is, it's a different level of difficult because once you get into the playoffs there, it's basically single game elimination. Like there, it's not like major junior of the NHL where you have series best of seven. It is match up against somebody, a seed. It's one game, winner takes all, and you got to do that three, four, five times over. So maybe talk about just kind of that run there. You know, your freshman year, new at North Dakota, you guys go on that huge run and evidently end up winning the national championship.
That was a special year. That's one of those teams that kind of like right from the start, we had so much skill, so much finish, and we were kind of ranked first in like NCAA rankings for the whole year. And they're like, okay, we don't want to peak too early. Like we got to ride this out. But there was never a doubt if we went down a goal in a game. It's like obviously someone's going to score here.
Hmm.
Um, that was a special team for sure. And then the way the NCAA format is for playoffs is pretty crazy and very entertaining to watch now being out of it, but being in the moment there was really, really special. Um, yeah, that team was really, we went down in the semifinals against Denver with like 2 minutes left, but it was like no doubt on the bench that someone was going to score. Nick Schmaltz, Drake Kudrula, and Brock Besser's score, and then end up winning that one and beat QPAC like 5-1 the next game for the final.
I mean, that historic run, and I'm sure those, memories will forever be with you. I believe you have a tattoo for it
Yeah.
if I remember
Oh yeah.
correctly. But I mean, hey, I would have done the same thing. But um, obviously, your first year there, you win the championship. You end up playing 3 more years there. Like, as we mentioned, a tremendous program. Just a school that, develops a lot of pro guys, and you end up making the jump to pro. But before we get there, like when you were at school, like what were you majoring in?
Communications. And if you don't know much about North Dakota, that's not the it's not the hardest major to achieve, but right away I was like, I kind of want to go into engineering. This looks fun. Tried doing a math class, is absolutely no chance. Like, let's steer you a different route here. It's a great school, don't get me wrong, but there are some I had a ping pong class. Some guys a year before me had like an online walking
A
class.
ping pong class.
Yeah, like there's some ways to really make it easy on you. Don't get me wrong, we did our work and we got a great degree. But there are some funny little
Yeah, yeah.
time killers in there.
I remember when I was at Oswego, we had like our head coach taught like introduction to hockey or whatever, and every year players would take it, and he would tell us like, don't show up to this class. Like you're gonna get an A, but don't show
Yeah,
up here because
yeah,
like it's clear you'll know what to do. And so it was almost like a free period A, which was kind of funny.
exactly.
So I know those college things that you speak
There's
of.
ways to work around it. You definitely get your work in, but there are ways to make it a little easier. And that's my degree. I'm a really good writer, so it was much easier for me than math.
For all the non-athlete Division One or Division Three scholarship people out there, we are sorry. It's not our fault that we get maybe these little hidden pass, but we do have the real classes as well.
Yes.
But there
Yeah,
definitely
don't know.
was. So you end up playing 4 years there, as I mentioned, and was it always in your plan, like from day one, hey, I want to try pro hockey? Like you knew that when the opportunity came, you would go for it.
Yeah, for sure. I remember thinking back to the college schedule, just like playing on weekends. And I was like, God, I want to mix in some weekday games here. I was telling my dad that. And he's like, well, you better figure out how to get there first. Like it's not you're not just gonna become a pro hockey player. Like you gotta get there. Like obviously I'm right, or he's right, but it was kind of like I think that's just the next step. Like from here you go
Mhm.
play pro and as long as I can. That was always kind of my mindset on it.
So you end up signing rid of school there with the Jacksonville Icemen. Unfortunately, that previous summer they cut me in camp, so we didn't
No
get to play.
way.
We didn't get to play together. But I found that cool. Like that was one of the camps I went to before going back to Germany, and they had their guys under contract, and
It was a good experience for me, but obviously I felt like I was good enough to play, but the
Yeah.
coach thought otherwise, and so it would have been funny if we ended up being teammates. But anyways, obviously cool dynamic there, I would say. Like, the rink and everything. Like, I
Yeah.
believe they have good fans there. But maybe talk about, the next couple of years of like you obviously were up and down there between Manitoba and Jacksonville. And I always refer to this with, athletes who might not have been drafted and stuff. Like I refer to it as the grind because
Yeah.
it is a grind and it's not a negative, but it's like, you got to earn every call up, every piece of ice time. So maybe kind of give your opinion on that and how you handle it day to day because it can be mentally like taxing, frustrating.
Yeah, it was hard for sure. Obviously I wanted to be in Manitoba full time. But then I went down to Jacksonville, and it's not just because it's on the beach, but it was like, okay, I'm doing what I love. I'm playing hockey. I'm obviously gonna work for that next call up, but it's kind of for me, it was like just enjoy playing hockey as a profession, because I could be doing a lot harder work. So I couldn't really complain in that aspect, but it kind of just gave me obviously gives you that work ethic to,
Yeah.
okay, I want to get back to the really nice levels and you get treated better, obviously. And I met some really world-class people on the coast. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it's one of the hardest leagues to play in the world. But it did help that we were in such a nice place to play there. But it was try to get out of there as quick as possible.
And with Manitoba there, I believe, a couple guys that I noticed that you played with, obviously two teammates we have here at times, like Leon Gavanka, Christian Reichel, and then a guy that I actually spent a couple summers working out with, Cornell graduate Jeff Mellott.
Oh yeah.
So, quickly on Milot, I just want to say this, and I've said this to anyone I've talked to him about. This guy is like as skinny as my finger when he was like in junior and getting ready to college, but he could clean like 300 pounds. Like he
There's
was like explosively so strong, and I'm not surprised to this day that he's found a way to get to the NHL. But a great guy, good work ethic. I'm sure you would say the same about him.
Yeah, couldn't happen to a better guy. Also like just life of the party, like such a good guy to have in the room. But yeah, he definitely like he looked like a Hollister model nowadays. I don't know what he looked like before, but it's something in that Malott family with his brother being a UFC fighter.
Oh.
They do some kind of training or supplement that's undetected because those guys are nuts.
And how was it also playing with obviously, teammates we have now with like Leon Gavanga, Christian Reichel, guys that, were stays there in Manitoba and obviously trying to work their way up to the NHL, but now have come over to obviously us here at Adler Mannheim.
It was really nice to have some because those are the only guys that I knew when I came over here. I have Leon to thank completely to for getting to Germany. My GM in Nuremberg, Stefan Ustorf, knows Leon, and he had called Leon and asked like how I am as a person and a player, and Leon said really, really good things about me, and that really helped get me to Nuremberg. So funny that down the line he really helped me get over here.
You obviously played a couple of years there, as we said, going kind of up and down there between Manitoba and Jacksonville. And like as a player, we all kind of reach the point where we think, okay, is there other opportunities out there, whether it's in other organizations or in other countries? And did you kind of just get to the point there where you were like, you know what, like I wanna head overseas and kind of see what it has to offer, and you ended up in Nuremberg there?
I really never. So my dad from probably when I was around juniors, kind of told me like the Europe route. Like it wouldn't be the worst thing at some point. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we play over there at some point. He always kind of compared me to Brian Boyle as my defensive comparison, and then I would watch Boyle. He's undersized guy, nothing fancy, just very steady. And like, God, it's a boring guy to be compared to. But he played over in Europe, and then realizing when I got older, like that's a great guy to model your game after. But he kind of called it from an early time, and then being able to come to the Dell as my first stop in Europe, I think really was just meant to be for me. And the timing for everything worked out because we're so happy in Germany.
I will say it's a very cool first place to be in Germany. Like I really like I really enjoy going to that rink. I think it's got a cool aspect to it. I know it's not typically a hockey rink by the structure of it, but I feel
Hmm.
like it's always a loud atmosphere. Fans might not like this. I really like their goal horn, to be quite
Yeah.
honest. Like it does have a good thing to it. But yeah, just like a good organization for you to kind of get into there. And I remember
Yeah.
the first couple of years there, you were like running the power play, putting up points and everything. Like,
Yeah.
and obviously the city has a lot of history too, like
Yeah.
obviously from the World War days and stuff like that. But how was your first year in Mannheim last season? Obviously, we ended up going to the finals there. I like just being around you guys. I felt like last year, was the first year in the years that I've been here where the room seemed just like so tight as a family, and obviously, everybody's kind of pulling for everybody, and we end up having a very successful year there.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the big start of it. Like all successful locker rooms are tight rooms. I know you see it every day on how we interact with each other. I think it was pretty much we were close, and then we came to Kitzbühel last year, and then I was like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
this is an incredible group of guys and such an easy group to go to work with. And that's the most important part is how much fun we have and then how hard we work too on the ice and where our standards are and how we perform.
No, for sure. And that's something that definitely, us as a coaching staff definitely noticed last year, and any outsiders have noticed too. Like just, it's a big family atmosphere, but it's also hold each other accountable to keep the competitiveness there. And I think that's, as you mentioned, what the successful teams have. And one guy that we added last year that was new to the family, and just like yourself, was your on the road roommate, Anthony Greco. He will be on a future episode, so please keep in mind what you say about him. But
Yeah.
you guys are seem to be pretty compatible together, and I think he holds you accountable in some areas and kind of keeps you in line there. But maybe talk about that
He likes to
bromance, you'll
think
say.
he likes to think he does. I think we are so yin and yang that we work. Like we could not be more polar opposites. He hates Minnesota. He hates Minnesota people. He went to Shattuck St. Mary's though, so he's kind of seen it in the front lines. But yeah, on paper, I feel like I kind of early in the season kind of brought him out of his shell, so I'd take a lot of credit for that. But he is a character, very grumpy. Just classic New Yorker.
You guys do it. One thing I will say you guys have a love for is you both have a love for tats.
Yeah, he's
He's a little more filled than you, but you have some ink on you, and some in some interesting areas
I
too.
gotta I don't think you've ever seen this one.
The Donka with the
That
snake
help
under.
that the Donka helped with the German passport for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Um
Good.
yeah, no, but Grex is he's a little bit of a pretty boy. Likes his he's always got to be groomed. He's got just full of tattoos. He'll tell you about the new shoes he's wearing. Um but yeah, that's just part of him. You just roll with it.
Doesn't understand that colors can be added to his plate.
No, no,
He's
it's cut and dry. It's
strictly bun, meat guy, cheese. There's no greens involved there. I chirp him every day every time I see him eat, but at the end of the day, he's got the lowest body percentage on our team, so I guess
yeah.
he's doing something right.
Those are good genetics, and it's rare nowadays that we see him with sleeves on. He's always got
Yeah,
the Italian tank top on.
him and Soul this year, same designer for
Yeah,
sure.
same body types too.
Um, how do you like to spend your off seasons?
I think we found a good rhythm this summer. We go Minnesota for the month of May, go stay with my parents in Montana for the month of June, and then back in Minnesota for July. So I start working out when we get back mid-May, hit the ice in July when we get back in Minnesota.
Did I see? I saw a recent post from you. Are you into like, was it fly fishing or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm big. That's my favorite thing in the world. We had a good system. I'd go to the gym in the mornings, hang out with Sonny. So Bailey would have a little break and then he'd take his nap and I'd go fish for 2, 3 hours a day. It's really like we're kind of right. We're in Darby, Montana. It's kind of one of the best. I'm biased, but one of the best fly fishing places in the world. There's like 70 miles of valley and it's perfect trout fishing.
So for someone like myself who's never been fly fishing, like what, like obviously you just see, you standing in the water casting out the lines there, but like what all goes into it? Like I am really curious about that.
It's definitely it's kind of an art form. It's the technique to it. It's seeing it's in the seasons what fish are eating at the time, but it's finding bugs and knowing what they're eating at that time. And then it's the perfect like cast and delivery. So you want to make it look like a bug
Yeah.
that just hit the water and then reeling it into it's more of a finesse game. But yeah, definitely more of an art form than kind of lake fishing, which I love too, but fly fishing is my favorite.
I was gonna say like just even that like the casting, like it's just like so like majestic with the motion.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
really
it's an acquired feel. You
Did your
kind of
dad get you into that? Or like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He lived in Montana long before I was born. And then taught me when I was pretty young how to do it. And then it's very meditative. I could walk in a river for hours and just fly fish different spots.
No, it's always a lot of the athletes I have on, like, and especially these days with the younger generations, like they're all about like hockey, hockey, hockey 24/7. I keep telling people like whether it's multiple sports or having a different passion, like some activity you can do that you generally enjoy and like allows you to kind of escape. Like that's like something that's very important, especially like, for you like a pro athlete, like
Yeah.
play hockey for 9 months of the year and when you go home, like you obviously have your family, you still gotta train, but you need to have escape there, right? So
Yeah, big time.
um one thing I want to bring up to you, you kind of mentioned at the start of the podcast was, obviously you're not the biggest guy on the ice, like in terms of your stature, but you definitely don't play as if you're a small defenseman. But how was it growing up for you, whether it was through junior, minor hockey, pro ranks, like kind of battling through the adversity of like being, an undersized defenseman?
Um, Again, it was kind of like my dad always would tell me, like you're not going to be the biggest guy, but you got to outsmart the big guys. Be ready for contact, know when it's coming. And then that from an early age, like when you go to juniors and guys are smoking each other, I think you learn really quick on how to stay healthy and be able to manage those. And I think being shorter also gives you a good base.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty wide body too. I love the contact aspect of it. Yeah, I like throwing my weight around a little bit.
No, to be honest, I really respect your game because as I said, you play like you're 6'2", 6'3" in terms of like engaging first, going in the corners first, not shying away from battle. Last year fight, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I got
Not
one last year,
not
yeah.
afraid to drop that. Hey, like I'm all about the old school stuff too. Like
Yeah.
it's a time and a place, but I appreciate the guys like that. So and that's I think that's the like that's a props to you for like how you've been able to continue your career, right? A testament to you was the right word I was looking for. Just like so many people would have given up maybe when they had that adversity, and you always
Hmm.
battled through it. And as I said, you've won a national championship. You've played 4 years at a tremendous school, and then you've had a pro career both in North America and Germany. So that's definitely something to be proud of. And for the listeners out
Hmm.
there, if there's any like undersized players, just know like sizes and everything, right? Like Hayden, you said it yourself. Like it's playing bigger than you are and learning how to just kind of adjust to what God gave you, right? So
Yeah, big time.
um one question I always like to ask the guest here, like how have you ever thought about like how long you want to play, like kind of stuff like that? Like I know it's most people say, like I want to play as long as I can, as long as I'm healthy, as long as things are good with my family, which I totally understand. But like, have you thought about, kind of how many years you want to do this for?
I always thought that I want to play until my body doesn't allow me to. But kind of meeting this group of guys that we have, it is super helpful and like a really kind of fun thing we do on the side is, okay, where are we at? Like, what are we gonna do for the rest of our lives? Let's start making plans, kind of get the gears turning on what do we want to do after hockey. I'm not completely sure at all, but I feel like I'm in a good spot where I can kind of learn things from guys, and we talk about it. We have sauna sessions of post-career stuff. But at the moment, not sure. I want to keep playing for a couple more years for sure. And then we'll deal with that when we get there. Hopefully, get something going before I stop playing.
Could you see a German driving instructor in your cards,
Oh
giving you the tests?
God. No, that is. I don't have to deal with it now, and that's in the past. But I can definitely, if anyone needs help getting around an obstacle like that, I can certainly be of help.
For those listening who might not know the backstory there, last year there's certain licenses in Germany that are recognized. For example, mine, the Ontario driver's license is recognized, so you can trade it in to get a German license. Where was it South Dakota, or North Dakota?
South Dakota is okay. North Dakota, they do not recognize that a
And
state
you had the North
as a
Dakota,
state.
right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So Hayden had a North Dakota last year, and he was allowed to drive for 6 months, and then after that, they said, "Listen, this license is monopoly money, basically to us, and you need to figure out a way." So him and his wife ended up studying last year to do the German driver's test, which is all in German. It's how many questions is it again?
It's 30 questions, 100 possible points, and there's multiple right answers, multiple wrong answers every question. It's the hardest test I've ever taken in my life.
So very difficult to someone whose first tongue is not German,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, they didn't get by with it, but we found a solution this summer. So we're not going to say those live on air. But if there's anyone in the future listening to this who runs into similar problems where their license is not
Uh,
recognized by the German government, Hayden Shaw will be able to help you get through that and can point you in the right
we're gonna
direction.
charge a small fee, but we will get it figured out.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, joking aside, you mentioned you're not sure what you would do after hockey, but do you have like some options that you have thought about, like maybe some fields that you're like, hey, that might be interesting for me?
Um, God, I don't know. I definitely like dealing with people. I think that's where my communications major kind of comes into play a little bit. I'm a good, yeah, I'm a good people person. So I'm not sure where that leads me whatsoever. But there's definitely a couple avenues, whether it's kind of managing or kind of working. I feel like I'm pretty good with people's needs and in a situation. I don't really know where that entails, but if it would be like a hospitality situation. I don't know. It's definitely going to be a trial and error type deal. But also kind of the hockey network that it's like the hockey world's so small.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of help that can be given from people I know in my little hockey network.
Well, I was gonna ask you, like, obviously, as we mentioned before, like your dad has had a long career in coaching. Like, could you see yourself coaching like your dad, staying involved in hockey, or you're kind of open to either, whether it's staying in hockey and leaving hockey, I would
I
say.
don't really know if I have the coaching gene. I think I'm that bloodline might end with me. But I'm not ruling anything out. But kind of just seeing how hard and the hours that he works every day. I don't want to say it turned me off of that, but it's definitely I enjoy the player side of it more than the coaching side.
I think that's pretty normal to anyone. Like you know, obviously started in coaching and now I'm in management, but it is a lot of hours. And then you when you're on the coaching side, you quickly realize how awesome the playing side was, like
Yeah.
how you're only dedicated, 3 hours a day to the rink, and then you're free to do whatever. Whereas the
Yeah,
coaching,
it's the best job ever. The coaches it's from my experience of seeing my dad, it's the most thankless job in the world with the time you put in and the feedback you get back essentially.
hmm No, that's very true. All right, you've been very graceful with your time here. We've enjoyed some nice coffees together. We'll be wired for the rest of the night, but I always like to end on this one here. This is one question that I always like to ask all my guests when we're ending here. But what is one piece of advice or multiple pieces of advice you would give your younger self? So if you're speaking to the younger generation out there or the younger Hayden Shaw out there, what is one or multiple pieces of advice you would give him or them?
Um, I think it kind of came to me late on how important it was, but being a good teammate, and just being a good person kind of goes in all aspects of life. But the friends that I've made through, I feel like I was kind of a shithead when I was kind of coming up, and in juniors, like I'm the man kind of deal. But that's not the case. I wish it was kind of more just be a good person, be a good player, be a good teammate. That's what matters the most every day, and that kind of carries you throughout.
No, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, most coaches, general managers, they want guys who buy into the team mentality, fit in well with locker rooms, and as you said, if you are a good teammate, that makes you easy to join different teams, join different atmospheres, and be an easy guy to add to a roster, which it's every coach's GM's nightmare to add somebody and they don't fit in.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
no, that's very good advice. Hayden, I appreciate you doing this. I'm happy that we went kind of down your memory lane there. And as I mentioned, you've had such a great career, whether it was winning a national championship in college to playing pro in North America, and now over here in Germany. Um, Very excited to see how long you play for, where it takes you. As I mentioned, we won't see you anywhere near the driving school stuff in Germany, but hey man, and all I'll say is obviously enjoy the ride. It's an amazing run, and when it does end, you'll look back and have many memories from it. But appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
Hell
So
yeah. I feel like we crushed that. That was pretty
that
good,
was
no?
pretty good. Yeah, I think we did
For the
good.
last second call up, that was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. The other six guys canceled, so I had to get someone in here. But no, as I said, hey, we got notes here, so it wasn't the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
minute.
yeah,
It's
it's
been
true. It's
prepared.
that helped it out a little bit.
Unfortunately, my research at the start wasn't great in terms of where you were born. Elite Prospects, change that. I'll email them for
Hockey
you.
DB has it right. Elite Prospects
Yeah,
does
I'll,
not.
I'll email hockey or Elite Prospects, to get that done, 'cause
Perfect.
they do listen to my emails. So, but again, I appreciate you doing this, and I wish you obviously all the best of luck here in the future.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
And for those listening, until next week, cheers and ciao.